In this episode, where we talk about clinical research, professionalism, and workforce development, we're interviewing Rebecca Jackson, who's the HR generalist at Centricity Research, which is a large site network, to talk a little bit about how you might be able to get involved in clinical research at the site level and what you could be looking for either as the person hiring or being hired. I hope you learn a lot. So, Rebecca, you and I worked together when I was still at Centricity Research, and we worked on many improvement domains from policies and procedures to patient engagement. And what I'm hearing people are very interested in, which you can speak to, is or first, how to get hired in clinical research with no experience. And second, how to find people to hire for clinical research. So we're coming out from both sides. You work at a clinical research site, so let's focus on that rather than the whole industry. So, first, for sites, what do you think a site should be looking for when hiring a clinical research coordinator?
Those are really great questions. I think first, foremost, you always want to look for the correct culture fit. You do want to make sure that that person is going to align with the type of core values that you foresee within your employees. Second would be the analytical skills as well as interpersonal skills. We want to make sure that these are people. They're going to be the ones that are front facing. They're with those patients. They're going to have some patience and be able to explain some rather high educational things in a way that the normal layman's person or person that maybe doesn't have medical terminology would be able to understand.
So, people skills and analytical skills would be top and culture fit.
Yes. Yes.
Very nice. I so completely agree with you. So the second question is going to be a little bit long. I'll tell you the question first. Is
Sure.
going to be basically what an applicant can do if they want to enter clinical research and they don't have experience. They're trying to get into the field. But I'm going to read you a question that one of our viewers asked us. So excuse me a second. And I will say one of the primary issues that made me want to even create this workforce series was that we have a workforce shortage in clinical research, and yet people who want to be in the field are struggling to be hired, which is very curious. So here's what someone wrote in. I'm very interested in breaking into the field as either a CRC or CRA. I was a science teacher and I'm trying to transition into clinical research. My lab experience is from my undergraduate internships and work as a toxology analyst. That was hard to say. Obviously, this is one person's thing, but it could be applicable to many people. I took City program and ACRP courses to help me gain knowledge of the roles I'm interested in, but I'm concerned it's not enough to get hired. How do I find opportunities to gain this experience? Is there a particular location where internship opportunities are available? Some jobs do not require experience beyond what I have, so what would make me stand out? I know that was a lot. So let's obviously, because you're at a site, focus on the CRC.
Sure.
What can this person do to help get hired?
Well, this person is on the right track. They're doing everything that they could be doing is trying to gather that education or that experience based off of the current credentials that they have or the work history and the type of certifications they were looking for, the training that they've conducted. They're online to be a CRC. They could totally be hired. Our CEO was telling us that anybody can be taught something, but it really depends on their empathy and how they treat individuals. So that's really what we're looking for, but they're totally on track for that. If they wanted to get some further foundational experience outside of not being really able to apply it just yet in the clinic, they could apply for an RA role to first see or work alongside the CRCs to kind of gather that information if they really would be interested in spearheading it that way. But they could totally apply for a CRC role and become hired based off of the experience they have there. Other things that I would suggest is the internships. Really just calling around, call your local clinical research institute and see, are they looking for someone to train? Our site specifically, we love people calling in and trying to get more information about the industry or just breaking into the industry themselves. So it's a really great start there. Just picking up the phone. I know that's a little old school, but call in and just inquire about the opportunities that they have for you locally as well.
That is a great point as well, because sometimes it's hard to even know where there's a clinical research site nearby because it's really just not published that much. You might see some advertisements. I do think that a person could probably type in clinical research and then the town they're in or the next closest
Yes.
town. Clinicaltrials.gov can give you a list too, where you can look in a region as if you're looking for a trial, but you actually would end up seeing who's in that area. But it was other people in the industry have talked about it's so sites are really looking for people,
Yes.
and it can be hard to recruit, especially if you're in a town that doesn't have clinical research. Then you're mostly getting people who don't have experience. I really think you're probably very used to someone not having any experience.
Yes, it is one of those things that you find in our town in Columbus, Georgia. There aren't very many other clinical research institutes or those that have that background. They're in those larger towns or maybe those more closely to a college or university that's going to be conducting some research if they're not doing it independently. But that would be the best way, or to really, I'm a grassroots kind of girl. So anyone within the community, it's really the more connections that you make, the networking opportunities, even if they were to go to a conference or another community outreach event that's possibly being hosted by a clinical research company or a healthcare fair. Occasionally, we're at sites such as those as well. So that would be a really great way to get to know someone or put a face to a name and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you know anyone that could point me in the right direction? And you could get the ball rolling that way too.
Those are fantastic, fantastic ideas. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do our last question. I'm going to ask everyone this question. I love clinical research. I think those of us who have stuck in it a while love it. So, what's exciting or amazing about working in clinical research?
I actually love this question because I myself was very um, I don't want to say ignorant, but unbeknownst to me, this was in my own community, in my own backyard. And so when I had my own interview for this particular role, when I was first starting out in the industry, just hearing about the community outreach, hearing about the initiatives that are taking place, and to know that during the time, which was at the height of COVID, that these studies were going on to really help individuals and give someone hope out there just because it was awful, quite frankly. I mean, it's turned everyone's worlds upside down. So to know that that was happening in my own backyard, I told them, even if I don't get hired, I want to go on a rooftop and go yell out, that this is available in the community, to know that we are, compensating our patient volunteers, providing them health care. And that really, of course, helps not only worldwide because it helps those studies get out there, but those within the community and those that I see every day locally, I know that they're being affected in a positive way. And that's very fulfilling for me because it does make it feel like I'm changing the world in a small way myself. So it is a very fulfilling industry to be a part of. It's very exciting, especially if you hear a medication or maybe a device that's out there that you recognize from a trial that was being conducted previously. So it's like, oh, wow, I know that. Or, hey, that was, conducted at my site. So it's a really exciting thing to be a part of. It's constantly flexible, modern in that way to where it's changing every single day. There's something new that I can learn. So very exciting industry to be a part of, to learn something new. And there's just really no limit to what can be done with that modern medicine.
That was awesome. Your passion and your excitement must come across when you interview people. I'm sure now people will be clamoring to be interviewed by you, of course. We should probably say that Centricity has a lot of locations across the US and Canada, so it's not even
Yes.
just Columbus, Georgia. But that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate
Very
it.
welcome. Thank you so much for having me.